Hello and welcome back to FlowState. We have a very special and unique episode for you this week. Getting uncomfortable, or I should say, looking to get comfortable being uncomfortable as much as possible. Tapping into as much authenticity as I can bring to everything that I do, and getting comfortable with the idea of being vulnerable, speaking my truth in a way that is more in line with the way I am off camera, with my friends, with the people that know me the most. And I'm doing this today for a couple of reasons. One, to train myself to be okay with people looking at me while I'm recording in a urban environment, understanding that the idea of self-consciousness is a very powerful thing for a lot of people. Getting comfortable with that in my body, not being bothered by it, not looking to escape the raw emotion behind the context in which I'm putting myself in. Furthermore, this edition is going to be a little different in that there's a specific purpose to it. I articulated, I guess, the underlying theme of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and what that means, and putting yourself in situations that are intentionally uncomfortable to be able to deal with those raw emotions, those feelings, those insecurities that we all have. There are all challenges, whether you're doing something like this intentionally, whether you're putting yourself in an environment that you generally don't choose to put yourself in for fear of exacerbating the anxiety that is within you, or the idea of what it feels like to be self-conscious. And I was speaking to my wife about the ideas behind what I'm looking to do and the people that I resonate with the most within this space. And one of the reasons they're so successful is because they leave it all on the table. They are who they are on and off stage. And getting comfortable with that is so vital to being able to be clear and in a position to offer insight that is grounded in authenticity, not trying to be someone that I'm not, or changing the way I speak or behavior or anything like that, because that doesn't serve me, and ultimately that doesn't serve you. So that's essentially the ethos of this edition. And spinning off on that is the current state that I'm in, that has been somewhat tumultuous starting back in December. And I spoke about this a few episodes ago. There was Carnival here, and that really fucked me up because I was really locked in, dialed in. My training was going well, my nutrition, my mental space, headspace, if you will. And I mean, that's pretty much consistent. I have been training my mind to be attuned to my emotions and not allowing them to get the better of me, understanding that all of our minds play tricks on us, and how we respond to that raw emotional state is really what defines us in our everyday life. So, a little backstory. Rocking and rolling before December, training, eating well. I was at like 16% body fat, feeling lean, feeling strong, really embarking on a new adventure with this project. Also, it's raining out. I mean, that's another thing that I like to mention. Less ideal for shooting a video, but nonetheless, we're here, we're present, we're doing this thing. And my intention behind this is that this is a new beginning of sorts. This project is really taking on a life of its own, and I'm looking to amplify this as much as possible to provide as much value and entertainment within the context of the purpose behind everyday action coaching and what I'm looking to accomplish. So anyways, December kind of had a, let's say a very intense December where my personal relationship with my wife, we were going through some issues, some challenges. We've been together for 15 plus years. It's a long time. At the time of this recording, I'm 40? Yeah, I'm 40. Sorry, birth dates and these kind of like, I don't really give a shit about any of this, and I'm legitimately constantly confused about what year, well, how old I am, and etc. It's just not something I think about or give much weight to. So anyways, 40, I think, turning 41 on the 30th, and my wife's birthday is on the 27th. So we generally have a joint birthday, which is awesome. And so before December, there was some challenges that had arisen, and we kind of came to a head, and it was quite intense. I'd never really felt like this before, and I never was put in a situation that was so emotionally charged, and we got through it in the most incredible way, and we're stronger and more connected than ever. Our relationship is as deep as it could possibly be, only looking to become more resilient over time, stronger and more connected, not only with ourselves, but as individuals and as a family unit with both of our children. So I kind of went off the rails a little bit with all this getting dialed in, health and wellness, really just rejecting a lot of my past behaviors for a new version of myself that I created over the last 9 years. And it all kind of came to a head because during my, let's say, transformation, I became a little annoying and obnoxious, just really leaning in hard to the identity that I was seeking to develop within me. And I needed to become that in order to essentially destroy the person that I was in order to become the person that I am, if that makes sense. I think anybody that is looking to go on any kind of personal journey, intentional one, because we're all on it, no matter whether it's intentional or not. Obviously, if you're looking to create change within your life, then you want it to be as intentional as possible. starting to rain a little bit more than I would like. So, right, I just finished training at the gym, and I knew it was going to be raining a little bit, but I just didn't know that it was going to be to this extent. But nonetheless, we're committed, or at least I am, to recording this because my schedule is kind of locked in. So anyways, all this to say, it was a kind of hard course correction that took time, and the person that I became at this kind of apex of this transformation could be regarded as a little bit of an asshole and a dick. And, you know, from my perspective, not really understanding what was happening from the external, how I was affecting her, and not fully being open to understanding her position in life and where she was and so forth. So anyways, there was this course correction. I kind of just took it too far, if you will. Man, it's starting to rain a lot. Maybe I can duck into this place here. Ooh. Oh yeah, courtyard area. Ooh, cut through this place. Really need to seek some shelter. So, Carnival. Carnival was fucking out of control. And part of what I'm looking to do with this project is to tap into my vulnerability so that not only can I learn further from it, but then explore the idea of, let me just go this way, quickly. All right. So I can learn more from it and share with you in real time without any filters about real life. I'm not, you know, here's the deal. I'm not some kind of like saint of, not saint, what the fuck's the word? You know, I enjoy partying, I enjoy alcohol, I enjoy doing all kinds of different things that are not necessarily in alignment with personal development. Normally people that code a personal development guides are there to, in some way, escape those substance abuse issues or challenges that they have. Not that I had or have any of those substance abuse challenges or issues. That was never my, let's say, deficiency. I have plenty of other deficiencies, that's just not one of them. And so not drinking or not doing drugs or whatever is not really a big deal for me. So when I do enjoy, I do fucking, you know, I go pretty hardcore, which is why I do it less and less, because the amount of time that it takes me to recover and the costs and the consequences to all those things are very real in my life. And I have bigger goals and things that I would like to accomplish that I have to choose. One, you have to choose what you want, right? And part of the work that I've done in the growth blueprint is establishing core values, and I live by those values every day. Having said that, I think we're not robots. We're human beings. Being is what we were created for, just to be, to experience and enjoy and take everything as much as possible in before you die, because you never know when that's going to happen. And so some people take it to the extreme. They go off the rails partying like rock and roll, you know? I mean, go fast, die hard, go fast, die young, all that kind of shit. And that was a little bit of me when I was younger, as it is, I think, for a lot of people. And the idea that life can end so abruptly, so quickly, really is omnipresent, whether something that you talk about or think about all the time or not. And when you have children, that really changes the frame of everything. And I think there are so many societal norms that put pressure on people, like in the most intense ways, not only about aesthetics and what, clothing and like, let's say culture, other things like that. The pressure that one feels in modern society is just out of control. I mean, there's so much input all around us all the time, and the idea that we can suddenly just break free from all that input is not always the obvious choice. It's not always the thing that makes sense in that moment. So it takes a conscious effort to really decide what you want out of life and how you're choosing to live your life. And I believe that there's a balance between being someone who prioritizes longevity, someone who takes care of their body, their mind, is actively pursuing the process of becoming more and more self-aware and how that permeates through their life and the people that are closest to them. And also, every once in a while, get fucked up and do a bunch of drugs and have to recover for a week or more. When I was going to Burning Man pretty consistently for a few years, it was just insane. You know, you had like a fucking month worth of recovery after that. Ugh, why did I walk out here? This is fucking gnarly with all this rain. That was a mistake. That was actually a pretty good place of shelter. This camera is waterproof, but this mic isn't. Fortunately, I am. Let's see. Let's bring up some shelter again. Let's just do this in here. All right. So, I wonder if I could just chill out here for a minute. So, sometimes life feels like it's on repeat. But what if you could start fresh and start making real progress every day? That's exactly why I created the 10 steps to everyday action. Here's the best part. This isn't about doing it all at once. It's about small doable steps, things that you can actually fit into your day. Over the next 3 months, you'll get a new email every few days packed with exercises and insights to keep you moving forward. We'll cover it all. Finding clarity, setting goals that feel right, creating balance, and building habits that stick. It's practical, it's achievable, and designed for real life. So, are you ready to break out of the same old cycle and start moving towards something better? Grab the 10 steps to everyday action using the link in my bio or drop a comment below and I will send it to you. Start your journey to lasting change today. Let me, what's the word? Get my train and my brain locked in. So, just because someone enjoys themselves and seeks to enrich their life in the best possible way every day doesn't mean that they have to adhere to such strict guidelines that they are essentially rejecting opportunities that present themselves. Now, my whole thing is just approaching life in a conscious way, premeditated action every moment of every day. And we do this by establishing our core values. You really need to ground yourself in understanding how you choose to live your life, and it's going to be different for everybody. And in order to do that, you need to do the work. It's not going to be just like, poof, I got it, I figured it out. It's going to take some effort, some introspective work to be able to get there. And part of the growth blueprint is discovering what your core values are, going through a process, and it's foundational to the course. You have vitality first and then core values. So, I mean, you need the energy in order to have the capacity to be mindful, be introspective, and understand what you're doing before you can start doing deep and more meaningful work. So having said this, part of my struggle is balancing this like old me versus where I am today, understanding that I love a good party, and I DJ'd for many years, produced some music, I toured a little bit, so there's this deep passion in me, and I enjoy it. Who doesn't like disconnecting and detaching and understanding that there's more to life than what is directly in front of you? And certainly you can tap into this innate power within yourself, within modalities that have been practiced for hundreds of years, thousands of years, breathing techniques and meditation and various other tools that really kind of push you into that transcendent state. But having been on the cusp of many of those modalities, maybe not, I'm not claiming to be a professional or like some kind of expert in that space, or being able to tap into it at a moment's notice. I have done extensive breath work, and I have brought myself to a place that was pretty extraordinary during those sessions, but quite frankly, it doesn't really compare to an acid trip. Sorry, that you're going to have to figure out on your own, and I just don't see that as something that is possible. I could be wrong, I probably am, but I just haven't done it myself. And so you have to rely on other substances and compounds and various other things to bring you there. And the degree in which you climb up the ladder is really for the individual and what is comfortable for them and their own desires and experiences. And having been to experience music completely sober and not sober, there is a difference. There's a profound difference. And for the most part, I choose not sober, and that's just the reality. But it doesn't take away from the insights and information that I have to offer, nor to you in your capacity to better understand who you are as an individual. I'm not suggesting or promoting illegal drugs or any kind of modification of your internal chemistry. I'm simply coming to this perspective that in order to be in a position to serve you in the best way that I know how, I need to be true to myself and express myself clearly and truthfully so that you know that I'm not full of shit. Because that's not my intention. My intention here is to be able to bring insight and information so that I can have a meaningful impact in your life that you can then leverage to transform your life in the way that you want. It has nothing to do with me. I'm merely a guide to shape and structure modalities and systems to amplify the end result that you're looking for. And in order for us to work together and to collaborate effectively, I need to show up honestly. So I've been really not struggling, but I've been really contemplating whether I was going to go to this event or not. And a little backstory behind it. So we have a is it still raining? Let me go check it out. Let's change the scenery a little bit. So we have our joint birthday, and there's this big rave. It's not rave, but it's a party that starts at 3, goes to midnight, and then there's obviously after hours from midnight to 6 a.m. And that's not really what I would consider after hours. After hours is like something that starts at 6 and goes through the next day. All right, a little bit better. Let's go walk in the streets, make ourselves uncomfortable. And so recovering from carnival was a motherfucker. I still went to the gym. I still did the things that I needed to do, responsibilities and so forth, discipline to execute my vision to be in alignment with what I want out of life, intentionally derailed by my actions and choices. And the thing is that because I did it with intention, with a conscious understanding that it was going to take me time to recover, I understood what I was asking for. And the degree in which I needed more time than what I had anticipated was the biggest shift in my plan. It's a really sweet looking restaurant. And so I've been in somewhat of a turmoil about understanding the cost associated with doing things that are not directly in alignment with your goals, but are in some way necessary to enjoy life and not be so robotic in your actions. And I'll use this analogy, okay? So let's say you're pursuing long-term fitness goals, right? You're not really concerned with 1 or 2 workouts, 3 workouts, whatever the case is. You're not really, it's like you have, like for example, yesterday I went to the gym super fucking hard. It was crazy. Today before this podcast, I was at the gym and I just could not push as hard as I did yesterday. It's just like not possible. Your body needs more time to recover and it's just not possible. So like to me, I just reduced the weight and reps and or whatever. I modified those 2 things and still did the workout, did my whole training. It was nowhere near as good as it should have been, but that was because I pushed it really hard yesterday. And today I just wasn't fully recovered. Understandable. I'm not concerned that today is going to have such a profound consequence on the long-term commitment I have to health and wellness, obviously, because I'm not looking at it in the short term. I'm looking at it in the long term. And life is such a beautiful spontaneous, never-ending journey that when we're so rigid in our structures, not allowing ourselves for things to come and it's kind of like a cheat meal. That's kind of the best analogy that I have for this, is that I see it as like a cheat meal scenario. Really, there's 2 schools of thought. One saying that you should have cheat meals and another saying that you should not have a cheat meal. I am of the opinion that you probably shouldn't, because the damage that you do is substantial. And I'm not talking about like having a little ice cream cone or something. I'm like eating a whole pizza after smoking a couple of joints and then eating a pint of ice cream and fucking whatever. That shit stays for like 2 weeks. And unless you're an absolute psycho, just found a new gym. You're not likely to be burning that off in your next training session, which is, for the most part, the vast majority of people. So there is a cost to everything, and understanding that cost before embarking on the activity is being mindful. And for me, discernment is incorporated in my core values. Here, I'm gonna stand here for a few minutes. And discernment is very clearly defined to me. And the way I can summarize it in the most succinct way is choosing wisely, okay? And what that means to me in this context is understanding the cost to doing something that is outside the scope of my normal life process. And the cost that I'm calculating is my own discipline. I'm calling into question, if you will, my ability not to continue the party, not to stay out ridiculously late, destroy my sleep for the next 4 days, definitely compromise my ability to recover and train effectively, and continue with progressing in a way that I have the momentum, is really what I'm referring to. So understanding the difference between not participating, enjoying in an experience that I deeply love and resonate with and is very much part of me, and truly wrestling with it. I mean, this whole time I'm talking about whether I'm going to a party or not, with the capacity to regulate myself that is in alignment with where I'm at today, the cost associated with it, and whether or not it's worth it. And of course, it's always worth it in the moment, and you're feeling good. And I'm like finally recovered from Carnival, which ended like what feels like almost 3 weeks ago. And, building up momentum and strength and all the things that I do to make me feel as good as possible. Hold on here. Whoa. So, it's hard to say. And the outcome of this will be revealed in due time. Not next week's episode, but the week after, because I'm going to record another episode that will be published on Sunday while I'm probably at a party, most likely, because I feel so fucking good right now. And, I'm just reminded of like when I was younger, and you'd go, I'm sure you can relate to this, you go out Saturday or Friday, you don't go to sleep until Sunday or Monday. And then after you wake up, you're like, I'm never fucking drinking again, never doing any of that again. I feel like such a piece of shit. And, by Saturday, you're feeling good again, and you're just like, oh, maybe I'll go out and get a little martini. And then 20 minutes later, you're like, let's get a fucking 8-ball. And then this cycle once again starts up. And you can do that for a long time when you're young, and it's not advisable. I definitely don't advise doing it. It's like thinking about your future you, the cost, and when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, you can get away with all kinds of insanity. And, that time that you lose is quite powerful. I heard today you have about 4,000 weeks of life on average. That's nothing, man. That's like, it's a big number, but it's also not a lot of time. And if you think about how much time you spend sleeping, how much time you give up to other people, doing things that are expected of you, just, school, work, it's really quite incredible how much little time you actually have for yourself, how much time you have to do the things that you want to do. And choosing how you want to spend that time is one of the most important actions that you can take on a daily basis. It's like, how much time have you spent stuck in traffic? How much time have you spent doing something that you would prefer not to be doing? Going to shit weddings, birthdays, people that you kind of like or whatever. Business cocktails, whatever. There's so much wasted time that doesn't serve you. And so the idea of wasting any more time not doing the things that I love to do seems so counterproductive to the enjoyment of life. Now, having said this, if you enjoy something so profoundly and the idea of escaping reality drives creativity, drives productivity, not in the days after, but in the week following the adequate recovery, you're sleeping well, you're back to your training regime, you're eating properly. There are lingering patterns that develop over time that are leverageable for us all, whether we choose to be aware of those signals or not. And the choice is yours and yours alone to make. One of the things that I've been working on myself is listening and creating space to be able to become more self-aware and focus on understanding the feelings that are in my body and to be more patient with myself as it relates to productivity, time, how to leverage time more effectively, understanding the cost of not doing something just as much of a factor as doing something, and bringing consciousness to our actions as opposed to that kind of old story, that old pattern of going out, getting fucked up, waking up, swearing off all of that behavior only just to do it again in like 4 days when you're feeling good. It's crazy because it's something that I've been really just contemplating. I haven't spent a huge amount of time on it, or, obviously this podcast is an opportunity for me just to share my thinking as it relates to the cost benefit of going out, drinking, drugs, whatever the case may be. And a lot of people, I think, have so much pent up stress there, and it's like a miscalibration of what stress can be used for, not as a negative, but as a positive. And understanding that positive use of stress is incredibly powerful. It's really just an indicator of the need to be doing the thing that is scary, doing the thing that may make you feel uncomfortable, saying the hard thing, which is most likely the right thing to say in the context of whatever conversation that you're avoiding, or that anytime something happens where you're bringing up something to someone and you feel this kind of like tightening in your stomach, understanding that that anxiety, that stress is really an indicator that can be leveraged, not as a negative or escape, but where it's providing you an opportunity to lean in, to go outside of your comfort zone, which is the beginning of growth. It's never to recede back into comfort, which is reverting into old patterns and behaviors, but really pushing the boundaries of what it means to understand stress, anxiety, and to confront your fears and emotions with awareness and presence, to be able to make discerning choices that serve your interests in the long run. Now, if you have substance abuse problems, if you are dealing with issues that prevent you from functioning in a way that you would like, that you deem to be in alignment with your values and where you're looking to go in life, then yes, of course, never do anything that would disrupt this pattern where you are in your life. If you're looking to break free from those patterns, then you should never put yourself in a situation that's going to be detrimental to your well-being, not in just 1 or 2 days of recovering, but in the weeks and months and potentially years of a downward spiral. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about going out for a weekend, not getting a full night's sleep, and engaging in recreational activities that are not conducive to supporting long-term health and wellness and other variables that ultimately I have no issue recovering from, but I'm not in that category of people that are dealing with those struggles and issues. But at the same time, I'm here having this conversation with you about the simple, what seems so simple, but it's like, you know, it's like the old me fighting against the new me, and what is more important. And I think that's one way of looking at it, but another way of looking at it is like, maybe there's space for a merger to happen where at one point there was no room because that other person needed to die, basically, in order for me to achieve certain goals, achieve a mental clarity and focus that serves me in the long term, but also not forgetting about the subtle nuances of life, enjoying spontaneous things, and, you know, not cleaning up when you probably should in order to take advantage of a nice afternoon to go to the beach and hang out. And, you know, maybe that derails you slightly, and it's the actions you take after that really define your new trajectory. And so in planning for this, I have developed a stack that I've been taking very consistently for the past 2 weeks, and it aided in my recovery from Carnival, and I believe will be instrumental in regulating my emotions and also enabling the faster recovery of sleep deprivation. So even with doing all of the things that I can to mitigate the side effects of losing a full night's sleep, ingesting compounds that, you know, honestly, who the fuck knows what's in any of this shit, It's not like you're buying it from a pharmacy. And, and like really obviously enjoying the moment, but it's such a short amount of time in the grand scheme of things. And so, get out of the rain. Woo. Oh man. Yeah, it's pretty cozy in here. And so, yeah, choices, consequences, actions, they all mean different things to each and every one of us. The point, though, is that there's another 24 hours coming. There's another day. And what you choose in those moments post is what defines you. It's what keeps you grounded because you've already done the work. You've already said to yourself, I'm going to go enjoy. I know that there's a cost. I'm going to suffer after. But during that process, I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that I recover as quickly as possible. Look at it this way. Accidents happen all the time. People get injured. What you choose to do after your injury is what defines you. Do you sit and allow it to metastasize into toxicity? Or do you go into rehab and work with a therapist to get you back on track? Meaning a physical therapist. I mean, emotional too. But the point is, taking action intentionally really separates you from those that don't take action intentionally. More of a reaction to things, like you're out at the bar or whatever. You said you were going to have 2 drinks, and then you have 12 drinks. Well, that was most likely your inhibitions vanishing and tapping into old patterns that are not there to serve you. And if this happens on an ongoing basis, you really consider examining what are the triggers that brought you to that situation that impeded your better judgment, and maybe consider not doing that, obviously. But if there are no issues and you're in alignment 99% of the time, and there are opportunities a few times a year to go and party and have fun, or whatever the case is, you should take advantage from my perspective. But do so by understanding the costs, not just monetarily, the responsibilities that are attached to your life, how long it's going to take you to recover, and becoming more aware of your inner state as it relates to how it affects everything else, leading into whatever event you're choosing to do. And then the recovery process that happens afterwards is going to create more space within you to do things on an ongoing basis that are outside the scope of your routine. I love my routine. I designed it meticulously to amplify all of the things that I love in my life. And what I would love for you is that exact thing. And that routine really needs to be there to amplify the human experience in a pure and powerful way, so that you have vitality to do the things you want to do, and the mental acuity to really support all of the subsequent actions that are needed in order to tap into that experience in the best possible way. And it's like understanding that people do have challenges with substance abuse issues and they just can't help themselves. In those situations, you should just not do those things. And because ultimately they're not serving you. They're not providing you with a greater opportunity to be a better version of yourself. Now, tapping out and going on experiences and doing a variety of other things, I mean, it's like no different than getting a few shitty nights sleep in a row, how detrimental that is to your mind, your body, just everything. It's insane. And like, choosing that is kind of a crazy thing at this point in my life. And why would I do that? Well, it's like this whole analysis bouncing back and forth. Should I go? Should I not go? What are the costs and so forth? And, certainly I could go for the first part, end at midnight, which is like, really not that late, but, take advantage, because it's not like it's happening every weekend. It's not like it's even happening every month. It's just that this one intense period of time had happened, and it seems to me taking advantage of these opportunities in the moment with intention is really the difference between going into something and understanding the consequences before doing so. It's true for, this just came to mind, but, playing full contact sports, serious injury risk, long-term injury risk. It's the same level of extreme ownership and clarity that is required to know that you're doing something that may end your life. Potentially, skydiving, any kind of extreme sport, super high risk for accidents and, all kinds of other things. Statistically, getting into a car is pretty fucking insane also, depending on where you live. It's one of those things that people don't really give any consideration to because it's just part of our modern society. And yet people just blindly get into vehicles. Do you wear your seatbelt every time you get in your car? Do you have kids? People could just crash right. It's just insane when you start to think about it. But it's like you have to be aware and you have to take precautions in life and really just hope for the best, because you just don't know. You really just don't know. And so to be locked in so tightly and under your own spell of control can be just as detrimental as not having the capacity to loosen up, relax, and do things that are outside the scope of what your routine calls for. And doing it with clarity, as opposed to this, kind of like habitual practice of derailment, is really the thing that I'm talking about here. It's the defining factor in operating from a place that is grounded versus haphazard. So on that note, I really encourage you to check out the link in the description, sign up for the Growth Blueprint on School. At the moment of this publishing, it's free for life. We're still in the pre-launch phase. I really appreciate you hanging out with me for this podcast. We'll see what happens. That's all I have to say. Love you guys. See you next time.